Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, where depending on where you join us from in the world. Welcome to Open Up, our live talk show. I'm RJ Horner, and I'm the host of Open Up and a volunteer with Voice of Men 360. Voice of Men 360 is a not-for-profit organization founded in 2020 and is based in Toronto, Canada. Voice of Men 360 was born out of seeing a tremendous need in helping to step up and support our men and boys in overcoming their life challenges. We're part of International Men's Day, and International Men's Day has been serving now for over 21 years and is now represented in 90 countries around the world who join together to do various activities regularly. International Men's Day follows 6 pillars, which represent the overall well being of men and boys, and we follow in those same footsteps here. So, why is Open Up so important? Because men are not willing to open up and share their matters with people. And when we do this, this creates emotional challenges and undue circumstances, which can lead to men exploding in an unhealthy manner. We want to try to eliminate that. That's why we've created this open space to allow individuals to share their life journey with you. Um, and we aim to create awareness about the life challenges, the struggles that our men and boys have to overcome in their lives. There are no limitations with gender, age, or nationality or ethnic groups. We want to invite all walks of life to participate in our programming. Our goal is to make a positive impact on someone's life through this program. Open Up is recorded Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, where we bring out individuals to share their life journey with you. Today, our speaker is Adam Zarnowski, specializes in matters of human trafficking, sexual and domestic violence, and crimes against children. He is a former United States federal officer and currently works for the Anti-Human Trafficking Intelligence Initiative. Adam Zarnowski, thank you for joining us on Open Up today and being willing to share your life matters with us.
Thank you for having me, RJ.
It's a wonderful opportunity for me to get to speak to you and share your life journey with everybody. I know you've been on other programming within Voice of Men 360. You've certainly been a voice here. So thank you for joining us this morning.
Again, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. So we want to get to know you. This is Open Up. We're going to talk about your life journey. So tell us some of the early influences that led you on this path of being an advocate for a voice of human trafficking and how to eliminate, how to control, how to find and um, take care of this dire circumstance.
Well, I think some of the biggest influences in my life were my parents, my mom and my dad. I grew up very ill. I spent a lot of time in my early life in and out of hospitals, and ultimately, I had to be homeschooled because of my health. And my parents, they were able to provide me a great education, and they instilled in me a love of helping other people and a great sense of empathy. My mom was a nurse. My dad's a mathematics professor. And when I was about 11 to 13, I was very ill. Very, very ill. I was in a wheelchair. And I was more or less forced out of public school by my local school. Um, and that's when I really started to realize that something's really wrong in society. And that led me to get involved with the National Youth Rights Association, where I quickly learned about these boot camps for so-called troubled teens, where basically if you so much as talk back to your parents or they even suspected you of smoking a joint where you didn't necessarily do drugs, they just needed to suspect you, they could have you kidnapped and shipped out of the country. And that was really my first introduction to human trafficking. And I saw a lot of kids getting killed. I saw a lot of kids being abused in some of the worst ways. And I realized I've got to do something to stop this.
So you took this mission up as a youth, not as an adult. This is something that you has been
That's
part
correct.
of your journey all of your life. That's brave. First of all, you know, we we are aware that dire things go on. Like there are bad things happening in our world. But to hear about it firsthand, something like this that happened to our young adults in North America. This is what you're talking
Yeah,
about. This
no,
happened
this
in North America. Tell us a
in the
little bit more
United
about
States
that.
of America. Yes, this, and it's completely legal what they're doing. They have teams of lawyers dedicated to make this process completely legal. What they do to the kids isn't legal, but the way they get control over the kids is completely legal. And the parents would be completely ignorant of what was going on until they got their kids back. And they would have paid these people $40,000 to $80,000 a year in the meantime while they had their kids. And they would the kids were completely brutalized. They were raped, they were beaten, they were sprayed with pepper spray. I mean, it was absolutely abominable. One facility I surveilled, they tied the kids down in 110-degree weather in dog cages in black sweatshirts. Um, it was just unbelievable, and they claimed this was therapy.
Mhm.
Um, and so that was my first real introduction to human trafficking, because this happens all the time in our backyards, and nobody really knows it goes on.
So this is in within our juvenile detention system. Is that what you're getting at?
It is. It's both a private system as well as juvenile detention center system. Yes,
My lord, and you've just stunned me. I know you've discussed this on other programmings, but maybe just go into a little bit what it's like to live in this environment.
well, it's to say it's traumatizing is an understatement.
Mhm,
It's they used to call them Gulag schools, and for good reason.
mhm, I heard that. Yeah.
Um, and it's in the foster care system. It's in the CPS system. It's in the juvenile justice system. It's really, it has lasting long term effects, and they have studied this. And this is, if you experience this, you're going to have a shorter life expectancy. You're more likely to have heart conditions later in life. You are more likely to commit crimes later in life. This is where um, this is what we do to children. They literally go on to do to society, and we are truly exploiting these kids for profit, and waiting for this, just passing it on to the next generation. And we're putting all this trauma on kids and saying, well, we're not going to be around for to deal with the consequences. They are. This is their life. Um, it's just horrible. And the more research I do, the more I realize this is built into every single system. This is built into the child protection system. This is built into the foster care system. It's built in there to break up families. And this is built, this is intentional to do this to kids.
So, I mean, it sounds like it's part of our, like you said, part of our juvenile system, part of lost children, that sort of
It
thing.
is.
People recover for, but you say you have loving parents who did well by you. May I ask, without being too bold, how did you end up inside this program?
Oh, I did not.
Oh, so you're just doing you're telling us about the research, the study that you've come
Yeah,
across.
and and I've worked with a lot of survivors who've been in there.
Got you. Okay. Thank you for that. I'm glad we clarified that. I
Yeah.
just, it was my understanding that maybe you were in the system, you experienced it firsthand. That's what I was getting
No,
at.
no, I
So,
was never in these places, and
so
I'm very grateful for that.
I'm sure nobody, we wouldn't want anybody in that, and trying to get people out of this system certainly seems like an important mission. Um,
Yeah, it is. It's my life. It's my life's work.
so having said that, when did you begin this life work and why?
I was 16, and I just said, This cannot exist. This needs to change." And I've tried to get away from doing it. I've tried to do different things in my life, and every time I keep getting pulled back to this work. It's clear to me this is what I'm meant to be doing on this planet. That I'm meant to be freeing the slaves. I'm meant to be getting people out of these situations and preventing it from ever happening again. Um, I haven't really stopped doing this since I was 16.
I caught a Don Corleone reference when you were saying that every time I try to get out, they pull
Yeah,
me back in. That's what I heard
it
when you were
really
telling me that.
feels like that. It
What
really feels like that. Just as soon as I get out, they pull me back in. And some of the people who pull me back into this, yes, absolutely. I'd happily share my email at this.
well, we'll
Um,
get your contact information and connect you with people before the end of the show.
yes, absolutely.
But yeah, so again, that's what it is for people when they find a calling, when they find their life's work. They're just called to this, no matter what it is. They're asked to come back in some way. You know what I mean? So tell us what this has been like. First of all, from your personal experience, what has it been like for you to work for these people, to take up this mission on their behalf?
It's very emotionally taxing. Um, and I'm going to be honest. I haven't accepted any payment in the past 2 years because nobody is paying for this sort of work. A lot of the survivors of this abuse and those in these situations simply can't afford to pay for it, and so I don't feel right taking money from them. But the money is in exploiting people. It is not in helping people. And so I'm currently going through my graduate degree, and while I'm doing that, I've just accepted that I'm not accepting any money. And so but it is extremely emotionally taxing because you're just constantly hearing one heartbreaking story after another, and each one is worse than the last. Um, After a certain point, you just become numb to it,
Mm.
and that is very hard. It's hard having relationships with people, especially when they're trying to talk about the latest thing Kim Kardashian did, and you're more concerned about, well, that really has no matter whatsoever, considering what people are going through on a daily basis.
Absolutely. You know what? There's so much more to worry about in life. And that's why I never got into the Kim Kardashian thing or the Kardashian thing with the keeping up with the Joneses or keeping up with the
Yeah,
Kardashians, because again, there are so many more vital aspects of life that we need to deal with than paying attention to what they're doing. You know what I mean? So I get you on that one. Tell me maybe if you can some of the personal experience, of course not mentioning names, but some of the personal experiences that people have had growing up with this lifestyle.
oh boy. I've People have been consistently and repeatedly raped, sexually assaulted by their parents, by people who claim to have loved them. They've been pimped out by people who are supposed to protect them and love them. They've been removed from their homes. They've been and put into foster care, which then where they are then turned into sex trafficking victims. Foster care is just a revolving door for sex traffickers, with very little oversight. And the moment you age out of the foster care system, you're given, I believe, $100, and that's it. You're on your own. Nobody, no, you're not provided housing. You're not provided anything. And if you've been being abused that whole time, you need support, and nobody is there to provide you support. It's really these so many people are being eaten up and consumed by what is really this meat grinder of a machine that we've created as a society. And it's just it's appalling. Some of the things I've seen with my own eyes are appalling. I'm not going to discuss that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
No, thank you. Thank you for being as open as you can. This is a very delicate subject.
it is.
Um, but at the same time, we would like to open people's eyes as to what is going on. Um, how have you helped them get past this? How have you helped them walk on their journey? Like you say, accepted no money recently for this, but how do you help people get past something like this?
It is hard. Um, you really have to. I tried to do social work for a very long time. I served as an interfaith minister, and I became the guy who you came to if you were raped or sexually assaulted. I'm not sure how that happened. I was just doing my job, and everybody started coming to me and saying, "Hey, I've been raped. I've been sexually assaulted." Um, and your job in those cases is to connect them with resources, to connect them with counseling, and you very quickly realize how little help there is out there for people in those situations. um, the only people who really get help are the people who have the financial resources to afford it. Otherwise it, they're on their own. um, and I went. I did. I became a social worker for a little bit. I worked in a domestic violence shelter, and the only reason I stayed in that position was because of the clients I was working with. Nobody working there knew what the heck they were doing, to the point that they were abusing their own clients. And I had to turn the facility over to the state for investigation. Um, it's it really is eye opening just how little help there is for people, and I think that's why we see such a mental health crisis, and why we have such an alarming suicide rate, because there is the the people who are there to help just simply aren't qualified, in my opinion.
Mhm. And so, like you mentioned, there's no support system, right? There's nothing. As you're coming of age,
Yeah,
we need. Are you going to college? Are you planning on some sort of education? We
exactly.
need to get you working. You have to have some sort of income. There's none of that support once they come of age, because that's what you're telling me, right?
Yes.
And we all need that. I don't care whether we get it from our parents or we get it from our social worker at school, or our teachers when we're in school. That's another thing. Is there an education program while they're in this? I mean, because it sounds like they're
Yeah.
facilities. And is there an
Yeah.
education program?
And they're not getting education in a lot of these places, and this predisposes them to the criminal justice system,
Right.
where once they're in, that's just a further cycle of victimization and further trafficking. Because when it comes to prisons and jails, there is horrid labor trafficking there. If you ever see anything that says "Made in America," that means made with prison labor, and where it's being paid maybe 10 cents an hour, and they're forced to work. And then the sex trafficking of women in prisons is just horrible. It's really is the systems we've set up to supposedly address the problem are in fact generating the problem.
Mm.
That is, it's really just insane. It boggles the mind.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. So you said that you turned an institution over for investigation to the federal
Yeah.
government. Was there a resolve in that case, or do you know what happened moving forward
I know it got shut down for a few months.
for a few months?
Yeah, for a few months, and then it opened up under a new name.
So, what would the federal government do in a situation like that? Because again, I know. Look, it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to change,
Yeah.
instantly. But by some people like yourselves doing the work, there may be changes to this industry one day. So I'm just wondering what next steps are. What can we do to alleviate this issue, or step up and do something about it?
This is strictly my opinion. We really need to start over from scratch, because the problems are that pervasive, and I'm not sure we can reform it at this point. And it troubles me to have to say that, but that is what my experience shows. Um, I mean, you go to raid a facility and you pull a 14-year-old girl out of a little hole in the ground, and she looks like somebody just liberated from a Holocaust concentration camp in Nazi Germany. And that's occurring all across the United States. In the systems that are meant to protect and help her.
No.
I don't know what the solution is.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that's the thing. It sounds like there's it just requires a lot of people like yourself joining in and creating a greater voice, right? That sounds like
yeah,
the next possible step to achievement here.
yeah.
So it also sounds like you need a champion or a sponsor. I mean, look,
We do. We do. We need somebody. We need somebody to take this on at the national level. It's somebody who can really champion reform and get things done. And we really don't have that. Even amongst the most so-called radical politicians, we don't have that. Um, they're too interested in getting reelected.
and I would say, you know what? I'm hoping that there are some people out there who have come through this system, it witnessed it firsthand. Maybe they've been, able to escape through, you know what I mean? Not,
Yes,
relatively untouched, but they've managed to become something. They've managed to achieve in life. Um, Sounds like we need those people to step up and support this initiative. And
absolutely.
and I will say, you know what, it sounds like you need a financial champion too, because it's going to take
Yes,
money. You know what I mean? As much as we have these minds
absolutely.
combining and the voices working together, it's still going to cost money to make this happen. So
Absolutely.
I'm hoping. Go ahead.
And let me clarify, this is not just the United States. This is
Yeah.
not just capitalism. This is worldwide. This is every economic system. I mean, it's this way, and I mean, it's actually worse in China, Don't even get me started on North Korea and Russia. It's bad all over the place. Um, this is the result of the system that all the prior generations have created. And so it's really on my gener my generation, your generation, every generation that's alive now and into the future to fix things. Because the people who came before us, they really they did a pretty poor job of coming up with this system, in my opinion.
Without a doubt, it creates more problems than there are. You know what? Even our foster system, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even that is inadequate to teach people to or even put them in a quality environment. So I
it
get
is.
that. Does it also happen in Canada? In your research, have you found
Oh
it
yes.
happens in Canada?
Oh, Canada's yeah. Canada has a lot of problems, especially when you look at the history of the treatment of the indigenous populations.
Hmm.
Scores of children were massacred, were neglected into, and then they were neglected to death, and then their bodies were hidden, and everything was covered up by the people who were supposed to be taking care of them. Um, it's I mean it reaches the scope of both in Canada and the United States of genocide. What happened to the indigenous populations and the indigenous children in residential schools? It's really quite appalling.
Without a doubt, we're all well aware of now. We're well aware of the circumstances that went on in our residential schools at the turn of the 19th or 20th century.
Yeah,
Um, so and we feel that plight. So I do have a few announcements that I'd like to get through, and then I will come back and ask you a couple of questions before we finish off the show. Is that okay?
sounds good.
Just bear with me. Ladies and gentlemen, Voice of Men 360 will be hosting our annual picnic. So please join us in London, Ontario, on next Saturday, July 24th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., Springbank Park. So Springbank Park, Area J, London, Ontario. Please come out and join us for our annual picnic. We'll have games for kids and adults. We'll keep the day entertaining. Free food. Everyone is welcome. And of course, we are still looking for volunteers, vendors, sponsors, and anyone who wants to help and support and make this a great event. So please contact us at 437 889 8329 or email info@voiceofmen360.org. We have several live shows here in Voice of Men 360. The first you just participated in is called Open Up, where we invite people to share their life experiences with you. That's a live talk show, as you've noticed, takes place Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So please join us for more of that. You've seen the interesting topics we discuss here. We also host the same thing in Tamil language. Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, we host a show called Vili, which means I. It's the same show as Open Up in Tamil language, so please join us for that. We host a special webinar, or we host a monthly webinar the first Saturday of every month at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, where we bring out the expertise of different organizations to discuss a topic of interest to them, but also of special interest to our community. We host a special show called The Unspoken Tears. This is the second Saturday of every month, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The topic is much what we've discussed here: domestic violence against men, bullying, male sexual abuse, traumas, porn addiction, human trafficking. We discuss those dire topics here on our special show, The Unspoken Tears. We also like to honor men, honor people who help men and boys through their articles, their discussions, their topics. So please join us for Authors Circle, the third Saturday of every month, where we invite those authors who have created topics of interest for men, third Saturday of every month from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we turn all of our content into podcast episodes. So please look out for us on all of your favorite platforms: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and more. And then I'd like to inform you that we also want to help and support our men out there. So we've created a peer support group for men only. This is an open up men's peer support group. Please join us every second Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The next one will be Tuesday, July 6th. Please register through Zoom and join us for that event. And again, that's for men only. There will be no recordings, and this is a private environment for you to open up and discuss your issues. We also host an Indigenous peer-to-peer support group called Pass the Talking Stick. This takes place, and I've lost the information, but it is Fridays um, at 6 p.m. I believe as well. I think Sivam, is that correct?
Yeah, we will confirm the date and time later on, but we do have the opportunity to host that the men's group meeting though.
Is Pass the Talking Stick on hold, or what's our status there?
Yeah, it's on hold.
Okay. So please join us. We will keep the Indigenous peer-to-peer support group Pass the Talking Stick going. It sounds like we're looking for people to help step up and keep this initiative going. So don't worry, it isn't going anywhere. We value this program, so please join us for that. And then again, there are no limitations with gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. We want your information. We want your topics. All walks of life are invited to participate in our programming. If you want to be a guest on our shows, or you're willing to be involved with our organization, whether directly or indirectly, please reach out to us. We're looking to work with professionals, individuals, and experts who are involved in community organizations, associations, government officials, especially, and individual businesses. Please reach out to us at our phone number 437-889-8329. Or email us info@voiceofmen360.org, which makes our website www.voiceofmen360.org. Finally, you can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms: Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok. Don't forget to like and subscribe our videos on YouTube for more of our great content. And then reach out to us on Facebook, facebook.com/groups. /Voice of Men 360. And again, please reach out to us and continue your vital support. I think we're doing great work here, and it requires all of us taking a greater initiative. So thank you for being involved in our community and to continue your great support. So back to our guest, Adam. You've presented a great topic. First of all, let people know how they can connect with you, how they can become more involved in the work you do.
Well, I'm most easily found on LinkedIn. I'll provide that for you guys here, and I believe you guys also have my uh, email. And so, if you guys want to put that up on the screen as well for people to reach me, um, I work with the Anti-Human Trafficking Intelligence Initiative. That's my primary focus, but I I want to be connected. I want to work with people. So please, everybody, just reach out to me. Um, and even if we don't end up working together, we can just connect. Like I said, I'm also doing quite a bit of research into just how deep into society this human trafficking issue goes. And all the social and cultural factors that contribute to it. I'm very interested in connecting with people who may have something to contribute to that.
So my next two questions, they're usually directed to how we support our men and boys, but I'm going to ask that you direct it to your topic. So how can we empower the destruction of this initiative? How can we do what is necessary to eliminate it? In your opinion, of course.
Yeah. First of all, we need to admit that it happens. Um, the the biggest thing I have noticed is that nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to even admit that it's a thing. Um, and most importantly, we can't turn it into a political football like so many people want to do, on both the left and the right. Um, it's not a political issue. It's a global issue. It is a human issue. It is a human rights issue, and we all have to understand what is going on and how we each individually contribute to it. We have to understand that when we go shopping for groceries, how each of our purchases contribute to somebody's servitude, to somebody's captivity. Because unfortunately, that's what happens. How buying a new car, what parts of a car are produced by slave labor? What parts of our cell phones are produced by slave labor? Um, Even this communication right now is being brought to us by slave labor. We need to start becoming aware of these facts before we can start working to eradicate it.
We all, we all joke about how our license plates are made by, the prisons. So,
Yeah,
you know, it's a joke in society, kind of.
it
But you're
is.
saying that it goes a lot deeper than we really have any idea of.
It does. And I really recommend every person go to slaveryfootprint.org, um, and see just how many slaves work for you, um, and see how deep this goes. See see who is enslaved in producing your food. See who is enslaved in producing, um, and we need to start considering, um, how we who we give money to,
Mhm.
how we because this is not going to change overnight. These are deep rooted societal systems, and this doesn't change overnight. We have to really start thinking about how where we spend our money, and that's really because the ultimate root um, of all this is money. And
Mhm.
so we have to completely rethink where we're contributing. And I have to heard of that book, and it is a good book. I've seen very similar situations, unfortunately. Um, but we have to really start reforming how how we think of profit, how we
Yeah.
think of making money, because that's the only way we're going to get people out of these situations. Um,
For sure.
because ultimately the greatest pimp is poverty.
Yes, I get you there. You know what I mean? We do everything for money, right? Even look, there's the as we're trying to create businesses, we send our business to people overseas in the Philippines because it's cheaper
Exactly.
labor. We all are a part of this corrupt system, and we contribute to it a lot deeper than we actually imagine. So thank you.
Exactly.
So then, for people who may be in this system, growing up in this system, is there anything they can do to help themselves through this journey or to walk out of this journey?
You mean individuals who are,
Living with this system, yes.
yeah. Um, for one, it, yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm trying to.
So again, people who are growing up in this system
Yeah.
currently, you know what I mean? I'm sure, you can't think about what to do at 12, 13, but
Yeah.
maybe 15, 17. Is there a way that they can, you know, manage for themselves to prepare for their life ahead. You know what I mean? Again, they're people
Yeah.
in the system, but we
They're
got to
in the
think about
system,
their
yeah.
future and how can they create a better future for themselves?
The big thing is the thing we really see producing good outcomes for these individuals is getting an education. Um, and so they really need to try to go to college. As hard as that is, we've really made college an impossible goal for a lot of people.
Mhm.
But and especially so with student debt. Um, Student loans just create a further inescapable cycle of debt, and so we get people into debt. We get them out of this system only to put them into debt bondage to the government. It makes it's almost a too perfect of a system of slavery. But if they want to get out of that system, they really need to find a way to make college education work, or trade school. Um, become a hairdresser, become a plumber, something like that. That will get you out of that system of inescapable poverty. And considering the way college is priced and tied into the student debt system, I'd recommend trade schools. I think that's really a good solution.
So they have to try to find a way to um, add their value, earning income. Um, because again, other than being trafficked, other than being sex slaves or labor slaves, as the case may be, there has to be a way to elevate their status, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely. I mean, it really is all about status, and trying to get out of that lower status, if you will.
And so I love this episode because we have a lot of interaction. Camille says she loves your quote, the greatest pimp is poverty. She's going to use that on her own. We've had a lot of interaction today. So we've actually got questions from the audience. So Sivam is going to post some questions for you, and we'll get your answers to those. So please, Sivam, what's the first question there?
Well, I already displayed, so mostly comments. Yeah, question is just one or two, and you guys already answered though.
Oh, okay. So we went through them. So thank you. So then, Adam, you've been a great guest. You've had a great topic for us. We've had some great
Thank you.
interaction. Thank you for that. The audience was
And thank you
very
for having me.
involved. Absolutely. So is there anything I haven't asked you? What's your summary? What would you like to say in parting?
Keep carrying on. It's hard, and the entire system's corrupt, but be the spark that can change it.
Absolutely, we have to have hope, right? I think, and
Yeah.
and taking that hope, we can continue to bring awareness to this circumstance, and we will continue to bring awareness to this circumstance here in our community voice of Men 360.
Yeah. Please do. You guys are doing good work here.
And please continue the great work you do out there and the great work you're doing within our community. We value it very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Adam Zarnowski, thank you for joining us today and being willing to share your life journey with us.
Thank you.
So that's our show today. Thank you for joining us again. I'm your host, RJ Horner, asking you to open up.